New MMOs are announced all the time, and admittedly, now that I think about it, more MMOs are announced each year than there are MMOs that release within the same time frame. And while I make an active effort to cover every single one as they're revealed, this is one that I think we all missed. On July 3rd, a press release was issued to the public concerning a new hardcore MMORPG, ROM, Remember of Majesty, a title developed by Korean studio Red Lab Games and published by Kakao Games globally. I've never personally heard of Red Lab Games, and a quick Google search turned up some interesting information concerning the company. Red Lab Games was originally founded back in 2021 with the goal of becoming a global top-level MMORPG game company with its own competitiveness. The CEO of Red Lab Games held executive positions in Smilegate, known for Lost Ark, Entrive, known for Pangya and Trickster Online, NeoWiz, known for Bless Online and Bless Unleashed, and Blue Potion Games, known for Echo of Soul. Red Lab, through collaboration with Kakao Games, who made a significant investment into their startup, announced early in 2022 a brand new title, Project R, noted as being a high-quality, authentic MMORPG. No additional information was given at the time, not even an official logo or official artwork. And you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, it might just be another pay-to-win, predatory Korean trash MMO, and you're probably right. But not all of them turn out that way. And just because it's pay-to-win does not inherently make it a bad game, just a bad game to play competitively. You can always care bear it and not give a fuck, enjoying the world, the combat, or RPing. There are plenty of fun pay-to-win MMOs out there. Black Desert Online is considered by many to be one, so is Blade and Soul, so was Terra before it shut down. All, interestingly enough, which happened to be Korean. Coincidence? Before we jump into what Remember of Majesty is, I want to take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon. You guys allow for me to continue to bring new MMOs like this to your attention every single week. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch, where I stream every single weekend. GameVU recently interviewed the CEO of Red Lab Games, and admittedly, he had some very interesting things to say about the game. Now, for reference, this interview is in Korean, and thus this has been translated into English using an online public translator. Thus, I have done the best that I possibly could to make sense of everything and translate it as well as I possibly could, but there might be some slight inaccuracies. Remember of Majesty, simply referred to henceforth as ROM because it's a really long name, is a cross-platform MMORPG developed for both PC and mobile players in mind. They're developing this with a hardcore focus, but outside of sheer difficulty, they didn't elaborate on what specifically made it more hardcore than your average MMO. They confirmed that the game will feature a basic approach to the MMO genre, as they aren't looking to innovate, rather improve upon what already exists. There will be functional dungeons, raids, and boss monsters populating the world. The game is far enough through its development process where they are certain it will be releasing globally in 2023. They cited a third quarter 2023 expectation, but at the same time, MMOs are very large projects and are difficult to really ascertain a final release date for. They're working towards introducing a free player-driven economy, which is great in the short term when there are a surplus of players out farming, but this gets progressively more taxing on players when the community dries up. It seems as though they're working towards not only having a direct PC client, but also upgrading the graphics to compete with current releases. Graphics for mobile are going to be optimized for mobile devices specifically, with PC players having access to a game that supposedly looks significantly different. A global version was confirmed. They never elaborated on whether global would release simultaneously with the Korean version or at a later date. ROM is based on an entirely new intellectual property and is not linked in any way to any other form of media. The game seems to be set in a large Western fantasy world with varying regions and weather conditions. They want to have a large focus on PvP and have confirmed they understand PvP is difficult to implement and balance. Nevertheless, this is a large focus of theirs, arguably their main focus, alluding to PvP being what makes the game hardcore. Yet at the same time, having open world PvP and instance PvP isn't necessarily going to make an MMO hardcore. It's just going to provide a breeding ground for gankers and griefers. Not that that's bad, but at the same time, I know this is definitely not going to appeal to everyone. Of slight concern to me is the fact that in their interview, they noted even if the game expands into play to earn in the future, which means that while not currently a feature that they have in game, it is something that they are definitely contemplating. Play to earn doesn't immediately make an MMO bad, but at the same time, I have yet to see an MMO with play to earn received well. It looks as though classes are not going to be as basic as archers equip a bow or rogues equip daggers. Rather, according to the class fantasy that they're touting, archers didn't just use bows. Thus, classes will be able to swap between numerous weapons and weapon types. There also doesn't seem to be a traditional class system present. We wanted to focus on having classes be long range, short range, and mage. Yes, short range, that's pretty broad spectrum here. Long range, that's also a pretty broad spectrum. And then mage, because that is so contrastingly different to long range. Yeah, I don't know. You would have thought mage just fell under the long range category, but yeah, this is to increase the degree of freedom in using weapons. And that'd honestly be very cool. I am a very big fan of free weapon systems. I love running around as a mage in ESO, smashing people's heads in with a great axe. They never, ever see it coming. When asked what business model they would employ, they seemed hesitant to reply. I'm going to assume that it's free to play, but will likely be heavily monetized with a severe predatory cash shop. But that is just mere speculation. And that was everything. Ultimately, I'm very wary of the game. There are a lot of things that sound really concerning to me. Potential play to earn, a large focus on PvP rather than PvE, the fact that this guy held an executive position on several studios with horribly received predatory MMOs. But I'm not gonna write it off without seeing more and playing it myself. I think every MMO genuinely has potential. I think almost every MMO genuinely has potential, and I am curious to see more. On that note, I'm genuinely unsure of why we don't have full gameplay trailers by now, given it's supposed to release in just a few months. You'd think that there'd be promotional campaigns running in anticipation of the game, pre-registration events. Oh, if ROM is not an MMO you're interested in trying out though, try out one of these videos on screen. On Dawn, an MMO that just released last month and features Will Smith, or a list of MMOs playable this month.